former commissioner for energy, natural resources, a lecturer, and a doctor in economics. Good evening to you. Good evening to you. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, good evening to you.
Good evening, Canada. How are you?
There seems to be a squeaky sound.
Hello, Canada. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. So the first question I want to ask is, what do you make of the president's bold declaration, subsidy is gone?
Well, for me, I think the declaration is a reaction to a very painful situation that the subsidy situation has put Nigeria into. The president-elect has been part of those, may have been part of those who have been feeling that this subsidy situation needs to be dealt with headlong. So I think he reacted on the spur of the moment by making that statement in May, which was actually not appropriate, because even if he will remove the subsidy, he should have been able to take over office, then look at the timeline, look at the issues involved, look at the situations involved, look at the gaps involved, and then be able to make that statement. So I think it was still very easy to make it. Although I may not blame him, he may have made it out of the way he feels about it, because some people react on the spur of the moment. So I think that is exactly what happened. However, he has made this statement. What needed to be done now is how to manage the situation, because he made the situation, the statement out of a very bad situation. The subsidy issue has put all of us into it. Because what the subsidy situation has done is like a kind of leakage. Because in economics, we have what we call leakages and injection. And so in the income stream, when you have what is leaking, it's like your pocket leaking. You are managing your family, and you have what is taking your finances. The income is constant, and then something is draining your expenditure in a direction that is not beneficiary to the family. Then you'll be able to look at it. So I think that the first reaction of the president is in the direction how that is facing. So,
if I understand you correctly, you're saying it's a good thing that subsidy should go, but the timing is what is not so good. If I understood you very well,
that is exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that the subsidy situation has been a yearning of every concerned Nigerian to say, look, we have a situation in our hand where we are subsidizing consumption. And the consumption we are subsidizing, we are not just subsidizing consumption for Nigerians. We are subsidizing consumption in almost all the sub-Sahara region, almost all in the West African region. We are subsidizing consumption because fuel imported and subsidized in Nigeria find their way into all the West African sub-regions. And so in that kind of situation, you will see the kind of money government is spending on subsidy. Apart from the fact that we are subsidizing consumption and also subsidizing what is being consumed outside the country, there is a lot of racketeering in this subsidy thing. There are a lot of scam in this subsidy thing. A situation where, because the subsidy is there, some of the volume of petroleum products that are being subsidized does not even find their way into Nigeria. Sometimes they brought empty vessels and we are subsidizing. Sometimes they bring water and we are subsidizing. So in that case, everybody has been very, very concerned. And so what I think is that the concern about management of this very sector has been very, very key. And one of the things that has been bothering Nigerians is that what you are subsidizing has little effect on the productive sector of the economy.
Okay.
Because consumption and then diesel consumption. Diesel have more impact on productivity in terms of the factories and the industry. Petrol has little impact in terms of just the logistics of the industry. So in a situation where you find yourself, it will be appropriate to manage the economy. And so managing resources has been a very major problem where we are finding ourselves. And so I think the president-elect reacted on the spur of the moment in the direction of how painful what has happened in the subsidy sector has been for the time being.
All right. Now, my next question is concerning the fuel queues that we've seen in various cities in Nigeria, especially in Port Harcourt and Obiakpo. And I'm wondering because, as you may know, subsidy will actually end, in the ending of June, right? That's when it is going to end according to budget allocations. Why are we now seeing these queues? Because I want to believe before the announcement was made yesterday, a lot of these petrol stations had fuel in their possession. So why all of these queues? Being a former commissioner for energy and natural resource in the state, you've come across issues like this. So what do you think could be responsible for the queues that we have seen on the streets?
Well, I in this kind of circumstance, I think I should be able to speak to this issue from experience.
Okay.
Experience in terms of my tenure in the office of the Commissioner for Energy and Natural Resources in Rivers State, and also experience in terms of my profession as an associate professor of economics.
Okay.
See, what is happening is the unpatriotic nature of Nigerians. The unpatriotic nature of Nigeria. Because I don't see any reason why a statement made by the president, immediately people will now begin to lock their pump. It means that those in the petroleum sector are very, very unpatriotic. They don't care the suffering of Nigerians. This is unlike the currency redesign issue, where there was a CBN that was controlling the bank and telling the bank not to dispense cards. Now, there is no CBN that is controlling all the filling stations to say, look, lock your pump. So why are individual filling station owners using the advantage of this statement now to begin to put Nigeria into a situation where people will suffer? That is unpatriotism. And also, panic buying from Nigerians. We have a way of overruling things. So we are giving rights to these people to lock their pump. But if we did not panic and we relax and they take fuel demand the way it comes, we will be able to get these people to open their pump. But in a situation where people begin to get into panic buying, then that is a problem. Secondly, people take advantage of every situation to make money and exploit Nigeria. But we will be able to know who is not good. Oh, Mr. President is not good. Oh, Mr. Governor is not good. Oh, Mr. Vice Chancellor is not good. What about yourself? This is the time we should be able to look at all Nigerians to say, look, let's allow the system to work. We are aware that there is enough supply in the depots. NMPC has always told us that they have a lot of reserves in their reservoir. So if they have a lot of reserves in their reservoir, why will somebody tell me that there is a supply gap? The supply gap because people are stopping importation. How many hours from that announcement did they stop importation? That is very, very unfair. So I think that the filling station owners should be able to be a kind of people that will understand the suffering of people and not to multiply the suffering of people. And you know this kind of situation. At least those instances that be able to respect the relationship, very robust relationship that is happening between the state government and the filling station owners in the state. I can tell you that our days in that office as my predecessor, we have given them the free right in this state. We have given them the free hand. There is no double taxation. There is nothing that is embarrassing them. So why can't they just reciprocate? A new governor was sworn in yesterday. They should be able to allow the governor to settle down and begin to plan how implementing this and supervising the ministry will be able to make the smooth running of the place. So I expected them to have been very, very patriotic, to allow the new government to settle down and then continue to enjoy the robust relationship that existed between the ministry in my days and even in the days of my predecessor. The Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources have been very, very supportive of their operation. So they will have been able to reciprocate that.
All right then, quickly, because it's almost time for a commercial break. I want to ask this question. Dangote's refinery was recently launched, 22nd of May. It will be in full operation sometime July, August. And then the Port Harcourt refinery, which is the first refinery to be refurbished, will be, according to the federal government or the outgone federal government, ready by the end of the year. All of this, what is the economic implication? Are we going to now be dependent on Dangote's refinery, which is said to have about 650,000 barrels per day capacity? What's your economic perspective from this, please?
Well, it is very, very simple. When you have this kind of situation in the economy, the forex situation deals with a lot of logistics. And the logistics has a lot to do in terms of the productive sector of the economy. And a situation where the productive sector of the economy is hindered as a result of these shortages on logistics, that's a problem. Also, the loss of man-hour. You see a lot of people will now begin to queue at filling station when they were supposed to be in their factories, they are supposed to be in their offices working. They will now spend those time at the refinery, at the filling station. A lot of people too will be trekking. A distance you are supposed to do for 10 minutes, you do it for 2 hours. All that tells on the manpower need of the economy. So you can see now that the logistics sector to the economy will be affected. And by the time people spend time queuing in station, the people in the filling station will begin to increase the price. When they increase the price, that will also tell on how much people will pay for transport. And how much people pay for transport will also tell on how much they will sell the goods and services they buy from one place to other. So you will begin to see some kind of transfer inflation that will begin to happen in the economy as a result of this action. So all that shows that we need to be very patriotic to be able to see how we can manage this instant problem that we have faced ourselves as a result of the statement of Mr. President.
All right, I have to pause you now. We've got a commercial break coming up when we come back. At Facts 92.3 Nigerian Info, I'm Kalada Batabo, and we are talking about subsidy removal, fuel queues, and the Nigerian economy. And my first guest on the show is Dr. Peter Medee, who is the former Commissioner for Energy and Natural Resources here in Rivers State and an associate professor with a doctorate degree in economics, a lecturer at the University of Port Harcourt. All right, Doc, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. So my final question for you, so I can let you go to attend to your students. The final question I have for you is, now that Dangote's refinery is said to be running or would soon start running, are we going to be dependent? That's the question I asked you before the break, and I'm asking it again. Are we going to be dependent on that refinery, or are we still going to be importing, which will be more economically wise for the country, given our refineries are yet to be up and running?
Well, the issue of the operation of the Dangote refinery is another issue. We, as Nigerians, we need to wait and see how that refinery will work. We are told it has a lot of capacity of about 650,000 barrels
per day,
in terms of output. But what is the consumption in Nigeria? We don't know the consumption in Nigeria. And until you deal with this subsidy issue, you will also not know exactly what Nigerians are consuming. But that's another question. How much is Nigerian consuming? Are we consuming more than 650,000 barrels per day, or are we consuming above that? So that is where we will now know if we have some shortfalls that we still require that we import. But the reality in it is that until you deal with this monster of subsidy, you will not be able to know exactly what is the situation with us. If you look at the diesel situation, when subsidy was removed, we were told that the figure they were giving as our consumption level dropped by 50%. So if that also happened with this other subsidy regime, then we will be able to see a situation where we will now know the reality of what our consumption is. But the idea of subsidizing consumption, not just for Nigeria but for other countries, is very, very appalling. So what I also think is that the new government would have been able to take some time and do some systematic and stylistic way of withdrawing this subsidy, not abrupt way of withdrawing it that is going to put more hardship on people. Because the way we do something in Nigeria with less patriotism, it makes us begin to impoverish our people and put more pressure and put more suffering on our people.
Right.
Now, this one, we cannot blame any particular agency like CBN, which we blame for the problem of the redesigning of the Naira. This one, there is no CBN, there's no central authority that is controlling each of these filling stations that would be able to say, look, this is what you do, and you do. But each individual that has their filling station should be patriotic enough to say, look, I will not join the bandwagon of over-exploiting Nigeria. I'll be able to see what I can do as my sacrifice to this new government, as my sacrifice to the reality of what Nigerian is suffering, to say, look, I'll continue to sell the normal price. And when that happens, and he is doing that, and the others are doing that, and we stop panic buying, then we will be able to manage the situation on our hand. Because as we speak today, there's a situation in our hand that needs all our sacrifices so that we'll be able to get out of this trouble. But subsidy will be stopped. How it will be stopped is a test for this new government to see how they can manage it so that we can be able to have control over our resources. The Dangote refinery should immediately start up, and once it starts, let's know that we have exactly the number of what we are consuming. Because if the Dangote refinery starts in the present circumstances where we are, and the subsidy is on it, and the funds are diverted to other countries, we will still be in this mess we are in. So we have to face this problem headlong to see how we can deal with it so that our economy can be better. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Dr. Peter Medee. Thank you very much. I do appreciate.
I appreciate you. Thanks. And let everybody be patriotic so that we can get out of this.
All right, then. All right, thank you very much. So there are headlines that I like to reel out. Subsidy removal, no need for panic. Federal government is speaking there. There is another one where I saw, I think it's, on the Punch newspaper, something about reps backing subsidy removal, urging patience with Tinubu. There's this other one that I did see. Ip Man, still on the Punch newspaper. Ip Man opposes Tinubu's subsidy removal plan queues return. But right now, I want to speak with. I'm going to go over to the phone and try connecting with Alex Agwanwor, who is the NLC chairman in Rivers State, and we'll be looking at it from the labor perspective. Now, we've seen it from the economic perspective. The filling station owners, the marketers have been blamed for being unpatriotic. I also saw one headline where Osun, is it Osun? I believe it is. The Osun governor was saying he was going to arrest owners of filling stations that were not operational. All right. That being said, I can start taking your calls, and we'll be, interacting based on the economic perspective. What we've heard from the former commissioner for natural resources, or for energy and natural resources, and we can begin to take your thoughts on that, pending when I'm able to connect with the NLC chairman here in Rivers State, and to see what Labour is saying about the current situation of the fuel sector, so to say. All right, so the numbers to call me with 0817 923-0002 and 0817-923-0003. All right, I'm taking my first call now. Daniel is calling from Old GRA. Daniel, good afternoon or good evening to you. Good evening to you. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm sorry. Yes, personally, all my life I've worked in oil company. I started working in an oil company in 1968. So now I work as an expatriate, Ghana, Kenya, and other places. Ghana just dropped their subsidy. Kenya has done so. Nigeria can also do so.
All right.
I don't know why they are doing all this thing. That's why the refinery is not working. They are the ones that
who are you blaming? Okay, the marketers.
Down on this refinery. Let this man be. Let him do his job. He's a conservative politician. He's not liberal like Buhari. He will not accept anything less. Let him do. Let him do. Stop the subsidy. Please.
All right. Thank you for thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Do stay tuned. All right, so I've got my other guest on the phone, but first I'm going to take this call from Daniel, who's calling from Transamari. Daniel, quickly, welcome.
Okay, Canada, for me, it's economic perspective. I think for me, in as much as I knew that Nigerians' attitude towards looking for money is not good, I have to say that the Tinubu pronouncing that the subsidy is gone on his inauguration speech is not a good one.
Okay.
Because look at it. If you say subsidy have gone, I think for me it's just an English language. Because Nigeria doesn't have refinery as of today. And when you talk about Dangote refinery, it's a private sector, even though that the federal government have 20%, but 80% is a big decision. So we cannot hope on that. Well, let's go with what government have. The true refinery that government have is not working. Is it the fault of the masses that the refinery is not working? No. So when you say the subsidy is gone, you're telling the masses that they should be the one to pay for the subsidy.
All right.
If, for example, that the fuel is coming for 300, federal government is taking care of 140, and the masses will pay for 160. So what is simply mean that the masses, they will import, the NNPC will bring the fuel, we will pay for that whatever money they spend and refine it in abroad. I will use my salary and pay it. You use your own and pay for it. It's so federal government say that money we are using to pay, we're not going to pay it again. Now, if they refuse in paying that money, where would they channel that money to?
All right.
Would they channel that money to another economy? I don't know.
Daniel,
will not punish the people.
Okay, thank you very much.
That the refinery is not working.
All right, thank you very much.
Have to work before you remove any subsidy.
I'll have to get back to you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I have to get back to you on that one because I've got the NLC chairperson in Rivers State via the phone. Good evening to you.
Good evening, sir.
All right, welcome, Alex Agwanwor. It's good to have you on the show. You must have heard what the callers have been saying, and we're talking about the planned subsidy removal. I remember when the outgone government, brought up this conversation saying there is not enough money to continue paying for subsidy and that subsidy will be removed ending of June. Labour came out and said, no, we're not going to agree to this. And Labour made certain demands. Can you run through some of those demands that were made by Labour? Have those demands been met? Because for you to remove subsidy, it means that those demands have been met. So what can you tell us from a Labour perspective?
Okay, thank you very much, and the audience. There is a wise saying that who has failed to plan also plan to fail. This removing subsidy for us is like a shock. Because it's contrary for what the Labour have been asking for and what we are advocating for. And our position has been, like I said, we have applied conditions that this subsidy, but yes, we understand the pains the government is going through in paying it. But you cannot compare it to the pains that the masses pass through if it is removed. First of all, we have asked one thing. That for subsidy to be removed, let us move up from importation of petroleum products. That's number one.
Okay.
That any removal of subsidy should be based on the production of petroleum products in Nigeria. Let's put the refineries to work. If we are producing in Nigeria here, then the issue of importing products and the issue of exchange rates for the marketers and importers will not come to play. And subsidy will be like it's no more there. Ordinarily, it will just go on its own without anybody making any noise. So in as much that we can produce more than we can use, even let us begin producing, if not us, let's produce half. Thank God for Dangote refineries up now. And if that is the basis, the refineries have not even started producing. They say from June. If the Dangote was making a statement, even stated that he will still be importing. That means there's the likelihood that even with Dangote refinery, we will still be importing. So the basis of this removal for us as as NLC, we don't understand, and we are totally against it.
Because go ahead, let's hear you. Because you were going to say,
we are totally against it because it's not for the interest of the masses, for the working class of Nigerians. Take for instance, for River State today, you see what is happening. There's a panic buy everywhere. The transporters have increased their fare. A place you can go for like 200 naira, you will not pay over 400 naira. You see people stranded, they won't go to work because there's going to be a surprise hike in the transportation. And this will have a ripple effect on the price of goods in the market. And the clarity of forecast will remain the same. Nothing has changed. This is for those who are working. What about those who don't have a job? Is that the renewed hope they promise us?
Let me pause you. Let me pause you for a bit now. Let me pause you. Remember when the outgone administration, said it was going to borrow $800 million US, and it said it was supposed to be for palliative measures, to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. Also, the outgone administration increased the salaries of some civil servants.
Will you borrow to eat? Anybody can borrow to eat.
I'm going somewhere.
They're asking for poverty.
Okay, fine.
How can you borrow to eat? You are borrowing money for what?
But
For what now?
I was going to ask you, Alex, that special allowances were given to civil servants. Are these things enough? Special allowances for civil servants, monies for the vulnerable in society, given that government says it is urgent, it is pertinent to remove fuel subsidy. Do you think these monies would be enough, to cushion the effect?
It's not enough. Okay. It's not even enough. There are already inflationary rates in the country. It cannot be measured to it what was given. And it did not cut across all the civil servants taking with. It's just particular sectors. If you talk about what about the other Nigerians? The impact is not only on the working class. What about those who are not working? What about the businesses that are going to be crippled? Right. So it is beyond the civil servants, the working class. We're talking about Nigerians at large. The impact of this subsidy removal.
So what's Labour, what is Labour going to do about it? I know you guys would have to have a stakeholders meeting and meet and come to an agreement.
Yeah, I think we're also waiting for further directive. Very soon, our national secretariat, there will likely be a NAC, CWC and next meeting where we'll also take decisions and take further positions on this current situation.
What happens if the president refuses to listen? I mean, he has said it on several occasions, even before he became president, that subsidy must go. So what happens if you guys come up with an ultimatum and come up with request or demands, and the president refuses to listen and insists that subsidy must go? What will Labour then do?
Even with the previous government, we have been engaging them on this. There is no how. By the time we roll out our ultimate, what about the opposition? The government will have no choice. Don't forget this same government. In 2012, they danced and paraded in Tafawa Balewa Square. These are the same people.
Okay.
Against President Jonathan. Okay. That subsidy is a scam. That does not exist. They paid subsidy for 8 years.
All right.
And now they came and they removed it. For 1st of January, they wanted to remove subsidy. They blackmailed Jonathan. They did everything to portray the government of Jonathan. That these same people are today in power. History will judge us.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Alex Agwanwor. Thank you for your time. Thank you. I really do appreciate. All right. That was the NLC chairperson in Rivers State, Alex Agwanwor, and he has given the Labour perspective on the conversation. I've got a few more minutes. I'm going to take calls now. Remember, Dangote's refinery is the only refinery that is working 100% capacity. Dangote's refinery is a private refinery, and it has a capacity of 650,000 barrels per day. Now, inflation is somewhere around 22.04%. About 133 million people have been estimated to be living in severe poverty in Nigeria. That's about 63% of our population. So, I mean, what are the likely economic benefits of removing subsidy at this point? Or what are the likely disadvantages? I'd like to hear from you. And is now the best time for Nigerians to make such a sacrifice? Because whether you like it or not, this will be a sacrifice that you and I will be making. It's now a good time. It's now the best time to make such a sacrifice. I'd like to hear from you. 0817-923-0002 and 0817-923-0003. Remember, for those of you who I might not be able to take your calls, we will talk about this yet again after the major news at 6. All right, I've got Ima all the way from Ebonyi State. Let's listen to Ima. Ima, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening. Let's talk.
Yes. Subsidy removed. And in the filling station, long queues. And the price has started to increase, 400, 500. What about people? The new system and the new government. Nigerians will see something. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Daniel from Agri Road is calling me. Daniel, welcome on the show. What's your contribution, please? Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Concerning this contribution.
Yeah.
You see, during the campaign, we had all the candidates talked about this subsidy, that they are not going to work with the subsidy. And now one of them has emerged, and he said he's not going to work with it, that subsidy will come. And this very current fuel that is circulated does not import into this country in its tenure. It was imported into this country by the past tenure, which I believe subsidy has been paid to it. And now that this new president has come, that he's not going to work with them, why are they coming back to sell it after the federal government has subsidized it for the public? And they are now selling it with a high price. What about the money the federal government has paid? Are they going to return it back to the federal government? It's a Nigerian society is very wicked. We always blame the federal government. These businessmen and the women are the ones suffering the market.
Daniel, by the way, subsidy has not, according to the budget, subsidy is still there. According to the budget, the 2023 budget, subsidy will ending of June ending. So I'm also wondering, like you're wondering, why the prices have gone up.
You can imagine now.
All right then. All right, thank you.
All right,
thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. I'm going to take one or two more calls and then a commercial break. I promise you, when I come back, a lot of messages. I do my best to read them the open season period. So you want to stay with me all through to the open season when I can read some of, because time is not my friend. I think I should beg my management to increase my time. What do you think? But Hector is calling from Ogbogoro. Hector, good evening to you. Quickly,
good evening,
please.
Katie.
Yeah, quickly, please.
Yes, perhaps the removal of the subsidy is untimely because the refineries are not yet working. Yes, in as much as it's untimely and the refineries are not yet working, I think we Nigerians are also unpatriotic. We are just being so wicked for ourselves. The moment the president announced subsidy removal, most of the filling stations, fuel dealers begin to lock down their filling stations and hike their price. It's just too wicked. They are just this is almost the same thing that the former president said, that it is very difficult to control Nigerians. All
right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time, Hector. Lawson calling from Port Harcourt Township. Hello, Lawson. Lawson, are you there?
Yes, Kalada. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Quickly, please. Use your time.
This is Amy Lawson on the line. Kalada,
yeah, I'm listening.
It's a welcome development what the president said yesterday concerning the removal of subsidy.
Okay.
It's a nice development, but presently the filling station attendants and owners increasing prices of fuel pump is an act of impunity, which is not supposed to be. There's a new president-elect, president on seat. They should give him time and frame to work so that he will put things in order. I believe if everybody plays their part or plays their role, Nigeria will be a or the president will go.
All right then. All right. Thank you for your time, Lawson. Thank you very much, Amy Lawson. There. That's the much I can take for now because there's a stop set coming up, commercial break. I've got to pay the bills, right? This one says, making that pronouncement on his inauguration day is totally unacceptable. Mind you, none of our refinery is working. I quote Peter Obi that subsidy is organized crime in Nigeria, which we know, but he should have put things in place before going ahead with such a decision. Clef Austin Rodriguez. All right, I've got a commercial break. I've said it like 1,000 times, so I'm just going to stop here. After the commercial break comes the news update and more conversations. Just stay tuned.